Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up YouTube? Capital G here. So guys, this is kind of like my initiative to talk more about some of the older decks, even if those decks don't see a lot of competitive play. I know a lot of you guys out there may just play the game casually, maybe not at the highest competitive level, and I mean, you still might be fascinated with these decks, even if they're not, you know, highly competitive right now. So I am talking about scraps in this video, and I'm sure some of you out there are also probably thinking, fuck you G, I ain't about to sit here and listen to you have some love affair about scraps. Well, random angry guy, you kind of just did watch the video if you clicked it and it started playing. But anyways, back to scraps. I like the deck, you know, I like the way that the archetype is designed. It feels really throwback to me, you know, the deck's kind of slow, it's completely based around summoning your boss monster. It's like the opposite of Black Wings. I mean, what's the boss monster in Black Wings? Like, what, Black Whirlwind, you know? Now, we all know that scraps are pretty much god-awful right now, you know, and they'll probably continue to be for the foreseeable future, you know, but this isn't a blind hope, let's fix scraps video. I mean, I understand what the deck is, and I'm accepting it for the fact that the deck is pretty bad, but the thing that's kind of disheartening about the archetype is, you know, if a deck sucks, then shouldn't it collectively suck? Like, nobody plays scraps because they're bad, yet Scrap Dragon, on the other hand, I mean, that card's in fucking everything. He's like Justin Timberlake and scraps are in sync. Scrap Dragon was all like, yeah, you losers are kind of dragging me down, so, bye. You know, I would say that scraps at their best were a legitimate high tier 2 deck. I mean, you pretty much had 2 different versions. The first version being like a beast-oriented beatdown deck. You had Reborn Tengu, which was at 3, and I mean, that pretty much is the best synchro fodder card that ever existed. It ensured very easy Scrap Dragon summons when you combined it with Scrap Beast, and it was really good as a target too, because, you know, if you synchroed with the Tengu, you'd get another Tengu to replace the one you just used, and then that would just be another target for Scrap to blow up. And if you still had another one in your deck, it was like, you know, you got 1700 damage on top of the 28 you were going to attack for 2. So it was like, you know, that card just worked perfectly in the deck. In addition, you also had Horn of the Phantom Beast, which was just a monster of a card because, you know, the whole scrap archetype is pretty much comprised of beast monsters, and you could even make these cool plays where, you know, you could attack your opponent's monster. Most of the scrap cards in Tengu, like the main ones, were about 1700, so you could get those guys up to like 25. But anyways, you could attack, run over your opponent's monster, draw a card, your horn's already replaced itself, and then you could, you know, make Scrap Dragon, and you could actually pop the horn and then blow one of their cards up, knowing that the horn has already paid for himself, so you're still keeping offensive pressure on your opponent in case they try and get slick. And, you know, I'm not going to put any monsters on board, I'm just going to set this Deep Prison or this Mirror Force or something like that. And then the second version being Scrap Keepers, which was basically a deck that involved Gravekeeper Spy, and it worked on the basis of, you know, since the deck is level 4 centric anyway, Scrap Beast pretty much combines with Gravekeeper Spy almost as well as it did with Tengu, and Spy also gave you the ability to load up darts in your graveyard. If you combine that with, you know, hand traps, which were always popular back when Scrap saw a lot of play, if you combine that with Veilers, then, I mean, all of a sudden we have a little Chaos Engine going, and we can also put BLS in the deck. Now, scraps have some pretty decent support cards. You know, I like Scrapyard, I love Scrap Storm, and even though Scrap Golem is too hard to summon, you can even look at the card and see what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it so that you could actually summon Scraptron Dragon, or maybe even the wildly irrelevant and kind of pointless Atomic Scrap Dragon. But some of these scrap cards, like Scrap Mind Reader or Scrap Shark, I mean, you look at them and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Like, how am I possibly supposed to use this? You know, the cool thing about scraps is, since the deck is so level 4 focused, because it revolves around dropping Scrap Dragon almost all of the time. I mean, I know they tried to make more boss monsters, but they're all shitty, so Scrap Dragon's the only one that we're going to probably use. The deck is actually in prime position, like it's perfect for a rank 4 exceed, assuming that they actually give scraps maybe just like 1 or 2 more good level 4 monsters. I mean, you have a pretty decent engine there, and that you don't make the same mistake that you did with Scrap Dragon, and do not make it generic, Konami, because come on now, we all know that Scrap Dragon shouldn't have been generic. I mean, that guy's out there still bawling his ass off while the rest of the scraps are like on the street like, dude, we're poor and you left us. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Just trying to get more shine out for some of the older decks, and yeah, I felt like this is a pretty productive video. We talked about scraps. We had an NSYNC reference. We used the F-bomb a couple of times. Pretty good video. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribing makes life happy.